Today, we got kicked out of our normal studio, but we're here anyway. This is ChillPoint.
Yeah, there's like a whole bus over in the other room now, and there's no room.
Yeah. The bus is coming.
Parts of the bus. They're working on it.
Yeah. But yeah. The Desert Bus broadcast / engineering team is hot on the case.
Infiltrating the moon base.
So
It's a strange problem we have every year, but if we raise enough money, they go away.
it's true. If we don't raise enough, wait, that's the opposite of what happens. If we raise less money, they go away sooner.
Yeah, you're right. If you raise more money, they stay longer.
Yeah. This is a problem.
Yes. Well, they'll figure it out. That's not my job.
But yeah, just so everyone knows, obviously they're setting up Desert Bus stuff. So for the next week, the Studio A streams that are in here should continue on basically the way they have been. But like AFK, we're going to be doing a remote AFK and stuff.
Yeah. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, on the LurVG channel, and you're like, I don't know what Desert Bus is because I didn't watch all the way through to the end of Checkpoint, desertbus.org starts November 8th at a designated time that website will tell you. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the information. I haven't had to look it up. But
I think it's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock?
2 o'clock, I think. Yes.
Well, better show up at 1. Be early.
Yeah, beat the line.
Yeah, beat the line. Ever had to stand in line for the bus? It's
Anyway, today we are talking about video game news and the episode of Checkpoint that went up on Thursday. As well as some other stuff that has happened that we didn't get to in the episode. So let's start with
what happened? Thursday was very long ago now.
Let's start, as we often do on Checkpoint, about something stupid Ubisoft did.
Yeah, I mean, you can always count on them for a little bit of a turd.
Yep. Ubisoft has they've dropped a new game that a new NFT game, which, to be fair, is kind of a fun throwback in this year 2024.
NFT games are now a fun throwback, kids.
Yeah. It's like a cool retro game.
They're still bad. No, it's not.
It's like, oh, you're doing an NFT game. Oh, that's so cute. No, it's not good. It's weird that they're doing it, especially since they've been very quiet about their, they were very bullish on their NFT stuff.
A couple years ago, yeah.
They were really big on it.
Or maybe it was last year.
And they famously put out the
wolf enhanced pants.
Yeah, and they had like a whole system. I forget what they called it was like not shards.
Ethereum?
No.
Oh, no, wait, that's the thing.
Not bits.
They had a special name for their special thing.
It was a thing. Anyway, and yeah, the first 3 things that they did were wolf enhanced shirt, wolf enhanced pants, and wolf enhanced
Thong.
Shoes, maybe? Helmet. Wolf enhanced helmet. And which is just funny.
Quartz. That's definitely what it was.
Yep. Socratic Methods got it.
You can tell that we're really invested in what they did. Because we can't remember.
So, they put all this stuff out and they had, they minted a bunch or did whatever. And then, it obviously didn't go very well because it's stupid. And And they did there's some like grumble. I think we did some stories about like the head of Ubisoft, like whatever their NFT stuff was like, consumers just don't understand
Right, yeah,
what we're doing.
It was the guy who had basically I make NFTs happen at this job, specifically in my title.
Yeah.
Person.
He's like,
who,
people don't understand why NFT, that we're actually like doing this great thing for them, that they should really appreciate it.
people just don't understand. I know I don't. I definitely don't understand it.
Yeah.
In the terms of like why you're doing it. But
anyway,
you know.
Anyway, so they've been kind of quiet on the whole NFT thing since that didn't happen. And then, yeah, they dropped this game. Literally, I wouldn't have heard about it if it wasn't for this
Article.
This article and this ChillPoint story. Like they haven't really promoted it hugely. And if they had, I don't think I would have remembered, because its name, Champion Tactics Grimoria Chronicles.
Yeah, I'm really happy that it's actually highlighted in the thing that we're looking at, so I don't have to look for it.
Yeah, and also I like that Graham wrote this story, and the idea that most of the story is Graham just being annoyed that the name is so stupid.
It's part of his stick.
Well, and it's also like
in this show.
I feel like the NFT thing is sort of a given, right? NFTs are stupid, like we all know this. But
we all agree on this.
The Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles.
It does sound like they did take some terms out of a hat.
The multiple champions of multiple, the multiple tactics of multiple champions.
Like, it is a tactics game, so having the word tactics is like probably the most normal of the words in there that kind of makes the most sense.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon, right? Like Final Fantasy Tactics and other games that use it.
Yeah, it's when the title is just like search engine optimized or whatever, right? Although the idea of somebody just being like, I want a tactics game with champions in it, I will search for that on Google.
I don't know if you would though. You'd search a tactics game, surely. But would you be like, oh yes, a tactics game with champions in it?
I want a tactics game with champions in it, but I don't want one that is like one large storyline. I would like it to be many small story, a chronicle, if you will. I will search for Champions Tactics Chronicles, and then boom, this is the first option.
Like I could kind of get the idea of remembering the word tactics and chronicles and being like, I guess, maybe.
So they did a thing like a while ago where they were actually doing the like pre-sell minting thing.
I don't know what Miku Miku Dance Tactics is, but I'd like that game to exist now, so thanks for that, Socratic method. So like on the website, all the stuff that's the pages that are like, check out the heroes. But because it's a NFT thing, it isn't like, here are the heroes. Here's, like
whatever.
The different characters you could acquire. It's just like here's
characters. It's like there's like 75,000 that were given out. The time for the heroes being given out is over now.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know quite now how. I guess
Are you saying there are no more heroes?
I guess. I
don't
know.
No.
I don't know how you acquire heroes now.
Well, we
but
do.
Apparently the
who will save us now?
And
who will be fresh from the fight?
I guess you probably get some by default, and then maybe you can buy heroes off other people on the secondary market and spend $64,000 that somebody was selling their hero.
I mean, I know they're made to look like minifigs.
Which
it sounds like it'd be cheaper to just go get into Warhammer or some other minifig thing that where you, when you go through your cycle of learning how to paint them, they will definitely be unique.
It's
all
not
their own.
It's not often when you can say that it would be cheaper to get into Warhammer.
I don't even know if it's cheaper. I just feel like maybe it's mentally healthier than playing this game. And
to be fair, I actually quite like the little minifig aesthetic.
Oh yeah, I've seen other games do something like that. And
There's a couple
fun.
games that have that style. Not only is it like kind of a fun style, it's smart from a game design perspective, because then you don't have to like animate the figures, right?
Well, you don't have to animate them in great detail. I've seen some that do like the
right,
animation,
like
and I mean,
stuff.
I'm assuming that's a less complicated animation to do, but it's still an animation.
But you can do it like the same for everybody, right? You don't have to have like a different animation for each character doing stuff.
Fair.
Yeah, Demo was one that I think we played that on stream, didn't we? We did play like a dungeon crawling minifig game on stream at one point on across the streams.
I know they played Gloomhaven digitally on a talking sim. I know there was like there was a older game I haven't gotten to that did that I can't remember the name of, so that's useful. That was on like the Wii U.
Yeah, Demio also had it actually had like a character like painting thing in the game as well. Like you could customize your guys, and actually like it had little like painting stuff. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I guess the end result of this is it's dumb, and it probably won't last for very long, or it will just kind of sit around forever.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with games because.
And then like 5 years from now,
there's this habit of like, oh, if you don't hear about a game consistently being brought up, then nobody's playing it, no one's doing whatever. And it's like there might just not be anything to talk about, at least in terms of doing podcasts or content for a game.
And like
people still play.
Sometimes games like this, like it'll be like, 5 years from now, there'll be another story about it's like, oh yeah, Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles 7 just came out, and it's 10 million player user base. Like it just randomly got really successful, but kind of under the radar that we didn't notice.
That can happen. I mean, this will probably shuffle off to the side. It's true, but yeah.
Anyway, let's
speaking of shuffling,
move on to
shuffle up that playlist.
Shuffling up your playlist on Nintendo Music, which is a new service that Nintendo just released.
Excuse me. It's an app that they just kind of dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah. For iOS and Android, and allows you to stream music from all your favorite Nintendo games.
Well, as many that are currently on there, they're adding more, I guess. I mean, that's how all these services always go. They start with a base amount and then they add more and give it like a year, and people will be happier with it because there'll be more stuff on it.
It's almost like, is it all first-party stuff, or? I
think it's all first-party stuff right now.
Right.
I can't imagine they'll necessarily get third-party stuff on there. That's a lot of other video games that are non-Nintendo have put stuff up in places like Spotify.
Right. Like that would be interesting if they like for instance, you can get, say, like the Hollow Knight soundtrack, you can just like get from Steam or from wherever. If they also provided it as part of this thing, it would be kind of an interesting idea.
It'd be neat. But I just don't know if I can see that. This is like currently, at least, you have to have Nintendo Online. So I see it more as a nice to have for a thing you already pay for.
Right. Just sort of making the Nintendo Online subscription a little more valuable.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to have the expansion pass, though, right? It's just
I don't think so. I think it's just the base one.
Nintendo Online.
As far as I know, I didn't really look into that. I just downloaded it. I haven't actually played around with the app too much.
You and Beach have the expansion pass, eh?
We do.
Okay. So.
Because I want to play the N64 games every now and then, and for me, it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
We have subscriptions that we save with people. We have friends on our family plan, so we can make use of it. They basically advertise that at you in the way where they're like, hey, 8 people do it.
As subscriptions go, it's also, I think, the cheapest of the video game companies.
I think so. Currently, like, especially if you're going for like the base stuff.
Yeah, some people, there's quite a few people in the comments for this for the episode of ChillPoint that were feeling either called out or were commiserating as the person who is paying the family fee and attempting to recoup their attempting to get other people to be splitting it with them.
Yeah. I did cut part of that after chat out, but I will confirm Graham and Kathleen have paid me. A couple of my other friends though on my hit list.
I was gonna say, by the way, this is a story that
Beej wrote.
That Beej wrote.
I
was like,
I know Kathleen did edit it a little bit so that it would be more natural for her to say as well.
Yeah. But I was like, is this story just Beej like passive aggressively?
Maybe just a touch.
Hey, Graham and Kathleen, you should pay us.
Not to Graham and Kathleen. No.
But yeah, this was originally written. Beej originally wrote this. And Kathleen made some edits to it to make it work better for her to be actually delivering it.
Yeah, it's very standard practice within. Just because one person writes a thing, the person has to be able to say it out loud.
Well, and like this particular story did have some stuff with like sort of Beej's personal experience, I guess.
Okay. I would say, he's not here to defend himself, so I want to be very gentle about this.
So say whatever you want.
I'm going to be really nice about this. I would say sometimes
he's not even watching.
No,
he's like
sleeping.
Asleep right now.
But I would say that sometimes Beej is mocking people that he's heard of saying their statements. Like, he has no issue with this app at all.
Right.
And he's fine with it as far as I know. But the whole like, oh, Nintendo gave you a thing in the way you didn't want is a very common opinion that gets said. Whether that gets said affectionately or not, right? Because some people are just like, Nintendo just always does whatever they want. Which, if you believe, fine, fair. But there is kind of always that like, oh, Nintendo will give you a thing that you want that you didn't know you wanted. That's also sometimes true. Then they do something cool and fun. That sometimes happens. Mm-hmm. But it's not like an uncommon opinion to be like, oh, the monkey paw curls and Nintendo did a thing and you didn't want it in a separate music app. You would have liked it just on Spotify.
Yeah, Nintendo doing a thing in a way that people don't, or like in a sort of weirdly roundabout way is definitely...
Yeah, it's very Nintendo.
Yeah. And people have said that like the biggest downside I've seen people, or the biggest complaint I've seen about the app is like, I can't, because it's so like you can't like integrate that music in with the rest of your music.
Yeah, and
you have to like switch between
think that
things.
is like, depending on what you want to listen to, right? You might want kind of a more of a mix of video game music, or you might like a smattering of video game music mixed in with your other stuff. I kind of look at this app, and what I also kind of see though is here's a music service I can have on my phone that I know my kids can use, and swear words won't show up.
That's interesting.
Because it's all Nintendo music.
It's also almost entirely like non-vocal.
There's a few songs that have some lyrics, but yeah, a lot of gaming music is not. But like when I think about it, I'm like,
there's not a lot of swears in
if you have a
Mario
Spotify
music.
thing or thing going on, and you don't want to babysit that. Well, now you have music for babies. I guess I don't mean it in like a terrible way. It's just that I could definitely see a lot of parents being like, my kid likes gaming music. They like Nintendo. I can put this app on the phone. They can listen to whatever's on it. It doesn't matter. And they'll have fun.
I mean, as Julian in the chat points out, The other criticism is that they don't credit the composers or the
and
performers of the
that
music.
is definitely something that they should fix.
Although now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Nintendo doesn't typically credit the composers of music, the composers of individual songs, like in the credits of a video game either. They'll be like music by, and then all the people who did, and then like the music team. But like, it's not like they will do individual songs with their who wrote this song.
I believe that's true.
I mean,
they should.
They should.
But no, I think that's true.
But I would think that this is less of a Nintendo music decision and more of like a just general Nintendo policy.
Yeah, they're pretty bad for that. I mean, video game industry wise, they're maybe not the worst for it, but they are not great. Everyone could do better. They all should do better.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually, that's been an interesting one lately with that delivering proper credit has been kind of a sticking point lately with not only with music stuff but like QA teams.
I think it's been more vocal lately.
And it's been more so. I mean, which is in some cases sort of related to one of the other story talk about later, but you know, in related to some of the sort of unionization efforts and stuff. This idea that credits can be sort of given or withheld at the discretion of whether the production company or the development company or whoever wants to, in some cases, wants to like punish people, or it's like, oh, you left before the game was done.
Oh, right,
so
that whole practice
so
of
you don't
like,
get any credits.
we don't put your, that's
and then you can't
garbage.
You know, and then that messes it up for your sort of resume and your stuff going forward. Anyway,
I do know too, like within the last, I want to say the last year maybe, Nintendo has been very weird about not letting people know what dev team has been working on their first party games.
Right.
Until the game comes out and people hit credits. It's like they're not going to not tell you eventually, but when people are asking about that, they don't want to tell people. And I feel like that's more probably an overcorrection if they want people to look at these games and be like, well, they're Nintendo games, not games made by these devs.
And I
which
think
is weird, but
well, and I think that's not necessarily like, you know, in the sort of like in like the video world, that would be called white labeling, where the idea is that you're producing something for somebody as opposed to producing it for yourself. And we've done that sometimes. We do produce videos for other people sometimes. That may not.
White label content is what they call it, right?
White label
we make
content.
a thing, but we don't put our name on it because it's for someone else.
Yeah.
And that's not what they're doing, though.
It's a little different because the credits at the end do actually say who it is. But the idea of sort of presenting it as a unified face, right? That like, who makes the Metroid games? Nintendo makes the Metroid games.
You kind of want like that bigger brand name recognition usually for different reasons. Like Loading Ready Run. We have a bunch of kind of like, I mean, they're more projects, but they're kind of brands in their own right.
Right.
Or like Dice Friends. Dice Friends is kind of the branding we give like the one show, but there's individual campaigns and things within. But we kind of want to boost up the Dice Friends name a lot of the time because that's like the recognizable name that shows up all the time as opposed to the sometimes names.
Yeah. Anyway, it's the branding thing is interesting, you know, but especially from a and actually, I mean, really, we point that in the past, in like originally Desert Bus was Loading Ready Run presents Desert Bus. And we've taken that off now because Desert Bus is its own thing.
Yeah, we want that to be separate.
It is something
There's
that
many people from Lure in it.
Yeah, something that we obviously are tightly involved with, but it is very much its own thing. But yeah, I think, you know, even sort of aside from the sort of marketing aspect of it, you know, at the end of the day, that information of who actually worked on the project needs to be, you know, should be in the credits or should be available, you know, just from a practical standpoint, so that, you know, those people can show that they were involved, you know, have a legitimate claim to being involved in that. So for say, you know, future in getting new jobs and stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, that should be 100% illegal.
But so anyway, I think there is a little bit of the like subscription, you know, I think in what Bish talked about in the story and Kathleen was reading, but I think, you know, this idea of looking at it as a feature of Nintendo Online, instead of, you know, oh, another music service that I have to subscribe to. Because yeah, you know, I have to subscribe to a bunch of music services, or I have to subscribe to a bunch of, you know, TV movie services.
Yeah.
It does get kind of annoying. So, you know, if you look at it that way, maybe not so good. But if you look at it as just like a nice bonus on top of your Nintendo Switch Online subscription, that's probably a better way to see it. That's probably how Nintendo wants you to see it.
Likely. I mean, I guess there could be people out there who are like, oh man, finally, all the Nintendo music I want on my phone, I will subscribe to the Nintendo service online. I suppose that's possible. That's not a decision I would make based off of that. But I won't. Yeah, I guess people like that probably exist. I just don't think it's many of them. I did question. I was just like, wait, can you buy Nintendo Switch Online if you don't have a Switch? Which I'm pretty sure you can.
Right, and just like do it on your phone, yeah. and or maybe it's just like enough to tip you over. The you know, you were all like, well, I don't know, I got like this. It's like there's a couple things that are okay, but I don't know if I really want to buy it. And then you're like, oh well, for this maybe I'll do it. Anyway, speaking of things that are very successful, I don't know. Maybe that's not the way to do it. Anyway.
It's okay. You don't have to walk over those coals.
Concord. And the developer of Concord.
Concord has gotten so much news since it got shut down.
Yeah. They should really come up with a game or something. They could really capitalize on all this news coverage.
Yeah. Then maybe they'll go make a game with someone else because they can't do it now.
Firewalk Studios has been shuttered, and they've said that they are looking to try to sort of find the people working there other jobs within the company. Who knows how much that actually happened?
Don't know. Don't know if we will know.
And then at the same time, they also kind of, as an aside, also shuttered Neon Koi, who again didn't actually. So which
nobody knew about.
They sort of acquired them. They were a mobile studio that they acquired, and then presumably worked on stuff for a while, and then have closed.
Yeah.
Because they have they don't. They're like, well, mobile stuff is definitely important. It's not that particular thing we want to do.
They cut something because presumably they were working on something. Didn't they have like money dedicated to working on a thing?
I mean, before they had before they were bought out, they did a full round of like, they raised a bunch of investment capital, like $4 million or something, and then they got bought out, which is sort of an odd situation. So maybe Sony just like bought them out to,
take all their funding.
Take all their fun. I don't know.
That seems like a weird plan.
I feel like that could maybe work, but the interesting thing I find about Concord is, I mean, I never got a chance to play it, but all the descriptions I've heard of it, of people talking about the actual like gameplay, are quite positive.
Yeah, the people who liked it did like it.
And so like interestingly, and maybe somewhat uniquely, it seems that from an actual like game development standpoint, Concord was a very competently made game, a very well made game that was, and so what I'm saying is that like, in terms of the game, failing so quickly, it doesn't seem to be the fault of the people who made the game.
Yeah, it seems
like you've got a whole bunch of very talented programmers and artists and people working on this who worked on this game, and the whole thing crapped out for whatever reasons.
Well, it didn't light the world on fire, but lots of things don't.
But like in comparison to say, some other games like say like Redfall or some of these other games that failed not only because of marketing and stuff, but also because the game itself was kind of a buggy, crappy mess. And was missing all these features and stuff. Like, it seemed like Concord was actually like a fine game. It just didn't work for sort of marketing and positioning reasons.
Lots of stuff kind of working against it. But the dev team did a fine job, right?
Yeah,
like that's the basic of what we're getting at.
It seems like any of those people would be an asset to any other games that are being made, except for like the marketing. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the part of Concord that didn't work wasn't the actual game itself, is what I'm saying.
So like, yeah, for if they've given those people other jobs within other companies within Sony, that I feel like that makes some sense because you have people with skills. But it's weird. It's just weird to me that they shuttered the studio because the game had been out for like less than a couple of weeks. It got shuttered. And so I assumed that they would try to do something with those assets. Try to not necessarily make Concord again happen, but like do something with what they had made.
And they talked about like when they took Concord off out of selling it for after 9 days or whatever, they said that like they were going to think about what they're going to do with it, and everyone was like, oh, they're probably going to like retool it and release it as like a free to play or something. And so the fact that they were just like, nope, we're just going to drop it.
Yeah, and that's what I find really weird. And then it's like, okay, so you're going to drop the game totally. I would still expect that the next step would be maybe that they are working on a different game. Like you wouldn't just split the team or shutter it. I don't know. I guess because shuttering an entire studio to me seems like the thing you do when you have no other choice. And I know that's not how capitalism seems to work or any business, but it does, to me, it seems like the thing you don't just do.
And yeah. But you're right about the assets. I mean, not only, all the actual programming, the character models, the art, and all that stuff, but again, somewhat uniquely for Concord, apparently they had 6 to 10 months worth of like super fancy cutscenes and like pre-generated or like video packages and stuff that they were going to be releasing as a thing, and they already had a bunch of that all done,
which was
like
to in order to get
which
going,
was a good, which was a big part of their ridiculously huge budget that I remember when, about, a month or two ago when this was all going down, every story I read was like Concord. It was like $100 million crap, and it didn't even, then the next story would be like 200 million and then like 400
Yeah,
million.
the price kept fluctuating, and
it went up to like 400 million. People were like, really? How could they, like,
I don't know.
It started to be like, how could they have physically spent that? But maybe it wasn't that much money. Whatever the cost. Yeah. Whatever the cost of it was. Apparently a good chunk of it was pre-making all these cutscenes, getting ready for, they were going to do this like weekly cutscene release schedule.
Yeah.
And to like pull out the story and stuff. And then, yeah, there's also this weird one episode of this
What was it called? Secret Path something. No, those don't sound correct. But that was it's like a Hulu show, right?
It's an Amazon Secret Level.
Secret
it's
Level.
An Amazon TV show.
Yeah. So when the game got vacuumed off the internet, they did say at that time that they were still going to make that episode was still going to exist. Yeah. Shuttering the that's still like a different group that's making that. And if they've already made the episode or made like a good chunk of it, they might still make it. I haven't heard anything saying that they're not going to. And
I think it's probably like I don't know what this show is, but like the show sounds a little bit like the is it Love, Death, and Robots thing that Netflix did.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a bunch of sort of vignettes.
I mean, the only good one out of that was the one with the cats.
There's some. I enjoyed some of the things up there. All right, fair enough.
It's the only one I actually remember, Paul.
But there's some, and so the idea that even without the context of the video game, presumably this little anthology thing, this little clip or this little short it might just be it's a cool 10-minute video with characters. Hopefully it isn't like going to be depending on you having deep Concord lore knowledge.
I mean, I hope not, because that was when they were talking about doing that and all the cutscenes and everything. I had kind of considered the idea of and it wouldn't be a great idea to do this because I would assume that part of doing that anthology is like to try to boost your numbers. The game never lasted long enough to have that effect, but if they're putting out lore weekly and they know roughly when that episode is supposed to go up, you could have something that kind of works with the lore that's already been put out, except now you definitely can't.
Whoops. Anyway.
But it's probably not. It's probably something a little bit more
it would be cool.
General.
It would be cool if they packaged up all those cutscenes and made released whatever, a sort of whatever the modern equivalent of a made-for-TV movie.
Okay. Okay.
In the way that I feel like there's some creativity that they used to have. They always used to do stuff with we try to make this TV show or this cartoon or whatever, and it didn't work. But it's we'll put 5 episodes together and pretend that's a movie and just release it.
Yeah. So we could get a Netflix original because Netflix puts money into it, that kind of thing. We could get that, or it won't see the light of day. And in 5 years, let's give it 5 years. There's a huge data breach, and they're part of all the leaked files.
That would be cool. And then everyone is like, oh man, this was awesome.
Or the opposite. Who knows? Or maybe it's this wasn't really good, but then they hit episode 8 and it really takes off for some reason right there.
Yeah. It's oh
That'd
man,
be fun.
They should make a video game based on this TV show that they were working on. Anyway.
Or worse, it feels like a video game was made, and so people try to look for it and then they can't find it.
Yeah. This Concord has just, at that point, has been just completely scoured from the internet.
Again, vacuumed up.
Speaking of TV shows and video games.
And video games. And
Apple is apparently working on, or has picked up the rights to, the Oregon Trail to be made into a movie. Will Speck and Josh Gordon, the directors of Blades of Glory and lots of other movies, and Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, who have done a bunch of music for, in this case, talking about Dear Evan Hansen and lots of other musicals, are apparently working on. So they're going to be doing. And what I find really funny about this, I mean, so in addition to the thing of like that I think they talked about in the after show, like, why do they even have to option the Oregon Trail? Like, it's a real thing that happened.
Oh, because they want to associate it with the video game, which means they're probably going to make reference to the video game.
Right.
Or they're going to do it like the Tetris movie, where it's like, it's not like.
I mean, that actually would be interesting, right?
It's like but it's about making the thing.
It's about making the Oregon Trail.
Having it to get, like, there's probably some association in which they want the actual video game in there. I guess the real question I have is, does Jack Black play the horse? He's in like all the video game movies now, right?
That was the coming up joke, right?
Yeah.
And what I also love in the comments on the YouTube upload for this, lots of people had all sorts of different answers for what about these other Oregon Trail movies. Like there's been a couple of movies called like Oregon Trail or The Oregon Trail. There's apparently a musical that already already exists a musical that is based on the video game Oregon Trail, where like as part of the musical, there's like dying of dysentery and that like
that means you have to have a song about dying of dysentery.
I think they do actually.
Yeah. No, that means you have to.
Yeah.
Like there's few things that I remember from playing the game in school that have to happen. Someone has to die from dysentery. You always have to ford the river and find out if you make it or not, whether it's a good idea or not. Or generally, in my case, it was never a good idea.
Or you try to float your thing across the river.
Nope.
Yeah, the trail to Oregon is the musical. And then people have also pointed out stuff like Cannibal, the musical, which was done by the South Park guys, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, which is a very, very funny musical. Not about the Oregon Trail specifically, but basically about the Oregon Trail. The one I was thinking of is there's a movie called Wagons East. That was the last movie that John Candy did.
I saw that movie. It's a comedy.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's got some funny stuff in it. It's not that great. I mean, it is of its time.
I would not watch it now.
Yeah.
But I remember renting that actually. No, my parents rented that. I would not have rented that.
I remember quite enjoying it, but it's not, it is of its time, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's not specifically about the Oregon Trail, but it is about wagon trains.
It's about the whole way. It's about people who went west and felt like they got ripped off and decided they wanted to give up. So they turn around and they're intending to leave. And that's the whole joke, is that they keep running into people who are like, you're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Or when they run into like the Native Americans who are very upset about all the settlers, and they're like, oh, you're leaving? Yes, we are fine with this trend.
Yeah, you guys can go.
That kind of thing. The premise is pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's just definitely of its time, and I don't remember all the jokes, but I'm pretty sure there are some that are not great.
Probably, yeah. The quote I always remember is the I think I don't know if he's actually like general. I don't think he's like General Custer, but he's like whatever the general of like the military people who are going after them. They're like all the army is all like set up and they've been told to stop this wagon train because it's gonna make it's gonna make the whole
Thing look
it's
bad,
like
yeah.
it's like people can't be going east. We want everyone to go that way. And so he's like, and so they're gonna go and attack the wagon train, and he just was like, all right, everybody, let's get out there and kill some people.
Yeah, I vaguely remember there was that character who was very excited about going and opening up a bookstore, but all the people who want to buy books just want to use them as toilet paper, and so he's very upset.
Which is, I guess,
It's fair, but
it's a funny idea.
I just don't know that he would have gone out there in the first place.
Anyway,
Wow, that's a movie I completely forgot about until now.
for whatever reason, because when it was like, it's like the Oregon Trail, so it's like a wagon train thing plus a comedy. That was one of the movies that came to my mind. I mean, even Blazing Saddles has some funny wagon train bits in it.
A group of, I think, 3 guys from the same family who mail ordered a bride between all 3 of them, and they slowly start to die throughout the episode.
Right,
because they haven't decided which one of them she will marry, and I think she gets to marry the handsome dude at the end or whatever, because they all end up.
I think she ends up marrying
by like a meteorite or something.
I think she ends up marrying somebody completely different.
Yeah.
And she's like really sad that she has to marry these assholes, and then they gradually just die over the course of the movie.
They comedically get taken out of the picture.
It's one of those movies where like people dying is not necessarily a sad thing. Anyway,
what was coming up?
Coming up, we were talking about Alarmo, and that people have hacked Alarmo.
I need to go look that up.
Actually, let me show you.
That sounds. I figured people would probably hack it. I just wasn't expecting it to be like a weekend.
Yeah, here's the stream here. I don't know. I don't think there's any audio, but you can see.
Okay.
So far it's just
they've gotten access to the screen.
They've gotten access to thing. The whole blog post where he talks about how they how they sort of cracked into it is actually quite interesting. It's got all sorts of interesting, if you're into hardware hacking, it's got all sorts of interesting stuff about how they basically load it up. They can sort of put the little chip that's inside it into what do you call it, like dev mode, so that you can access so that and then it starts putting out all this information, but it's all encrypted, and so then they can go to somewhere else. They found the encryption key for it and did a bunch of stuff. Anyway, it was a silly. It was a cool thing where they sort of gradually decoded all the different things and how it works. And they're like, hey, wait a minute, we can just put it. We can, and now they've basically, there's a thing now where I think if you load the right stuff onto like a flash drive, you can just stick it in, and you can send signals to it directly without even having to open it up. So
yeah,
anyway, I'm working.
I was assuming it was going to get funly altered somehow, but I expected another week or two, just because I assumed that there wouldn't be that many people who would be doing it the moment it came out. Figured it would take time for people to maybe get one, and then a little longer to screw around with it. But yeah,
have there been? I mean, I guess
these are quick.
It hasn't been out long enough for people to have any long-term opinions. But have you seen
It's only been out for a couple weeks.
What people's thoughts are actually like using it properly as an alarm clock? Is it like, do people like it?
I've mostly only seen people showing off some of the sounds that happen. I haven't really seen anyone talking about it, and it's not a thing I was particularly planning to buy.
No.
So I really don't know that we'll hear people talking about it until like maybe like they do an update
Like
or
my
some stuff,
six,
or maybe we
6
get more of
months with
this.
Alarmo or whatever.
That could be a fun piece of content.
All right. Well, we talked about how. Let's looking at some of the stories that we didn't cover. Although we talked about how Firewalk Studio is closing, which is maybe a little surprising.
It's just not the action I expected.
Yeah.
Maybe, like something like 3 months from now, if they had said it, I might have shrugged.
But on the other hand, here's the studio.
How high of a number do they want to lay off people by the end of this year? It's already been real high.
Here's a studio that definitely should have closed and didn't.
Oh, no. What?
Good old.
Why are they still around?
Good old Fantastic.
Effing yes.
Fantastic. The erstwhile developers of The Day Before.
Go away.
And they failed their Kickstarter for the Escape thing. What
are they doing now?
What was it called? Escape Factory.
Yes.
Failed. Due to lack of interest, which isn't that surprising because people didn't really think that they were actually going to follow through.
Yeah, I wouldn't back them either.
So they're back with a new idea, which is actually kind of similar to an old idea they had, which is going to be a prop hunt kind of game. So
okay. People like prop hunt.
I see it's similar to an old idea because apparently they actually have released that was like the first thing this company made even before The Day Before. They made like a prop hunt game.
The day before.
Yeah.
So they're going to go back to that. Okay.
And and guess what?
Where's the shoe, Paul? Where's the shoe you're going to drop? Where is it?
Now, they've gotten a lot of criticism in the past for asking people to be volunteers. And I use quotation marks because apparently everybody who works for the company is a volunteer.
Some of them are paid volunteers.
Some of them are paid volunteers and some of them aren't. And in this case, instead of asking people to volunteer, they are instead doing a contest.
Oh, goody. What's the contest for?
We're thrilled to announce our first ever contest, Design a Map for Items, which is apparently the name of the game. This is a chance to unleash your creativity by designing a map that, if it wins, will be added to the game in future updates.
Don't worry, if it doesn't win, we probably still own that content, and we'll add it to the game anyway without giving you a prize.
The winner will receive their map designed and playable in the game, their name displayed on the map somewhere, a copy of items.
Okay, so your prize is doing the thing that we said we would do. We'll give you attribution, and you have a copy of the game.
Not even like the
that
fact
I assume
that
you probably already have if you're making a map for this anyway.
They don't even say you're going to be in the credits. They say your name will be displayed on the map somewhere.
Okay, I mean, it's a very loose term of attribution, but it's still some attribution. It's more attribution than, say, the Nintendo Music app is giving their artists.
Ooh, true.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I
remember.
So, yeah, maybe if you want to be involved in making a cool map for a game, maybe you don't do it for, like, a game that isn't, like, out, and there's a good chance it will never come out.
Maybe don't do it for this dev. I mean, I have a problem with this whole contest method in the first place because when I was really into the anime convention circuit, there was a a group of people who made stuff, and they tried to do a contest for hat design. And this wasn't like a big AAA group, but they were fairly popular and they sold quite a bit. They could afford to be in the merch booth and not the artist alley with the rest of us. And they definitely had one of those, hey, everybody design a hat, and if you win, I'll make you your hat for free. But also everybody who gives us submissions, we own the designs of every single hat that you submit.
Yeah.
That caused a big drama in the community.
Yeah.
I don't know if that contest went through.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Any
No.
contests? I mean, we've talked about this before, but like contests can be really fun, but you gotta it's a bit of a tricky navigation that you have to do.
Yeah.
In order to the line between contest and spec work is very narrow.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that you that you are on the right side of that line. Anyway, according to this article, a little after 24 hours after announcing the competition, 4 entries have been submitted.
Oh.
The
The chances are actually pretty good then, I guess.
I mean, this has been up for a while now, so there's probably some more.
No, I choose to believe there's still only 4 people in that contest.
Although I would suspect that some of these entries are like, here's my map. How about you, here's my middle finger. That's my map.
Maybe.
But anyway.
Yeah. It also makes me think of like, you ever see those magazines? I don't know if they make them anymore, but it's just like, oh, it's a writing magazine. And if you submit your writing and this much money, we will definitely get your stuff published. But it's a contest. So only if your stuff's really good. But also still please pay the entry fee.
And also everyone who enters the contest also wins. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah. People trying to be like not a vanity publisher, but they actually just are a vanity publisher. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Coming to Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh, the new one?
Yes, Mortal Kombat 1, which you may not remember is the most recent Mortal Kombat game because numbers mean nothing.
Numbers don't mean anything.
The newest Mortal Kombat character coming November 19th, just in time for Halloween, is...
Yes, no, it is. All Halloween is taking over November. We're taking back the Christmas months. They're Halloween months now. This is just in time.
Is Ghostface.
They can't see.
Yeah, I know. Wait, 1 sec.
They can definitely hear that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite scary movie? What's wrong? Afraid of a little jump scare?
So,
Which, it's like,
who's Ghostface?
he's from the Scream movies.
Oh, okay.
But it's like,
I didn't realize he had a name.
it's like, dude, like, guy with a knife in the world of Mortal Kombat is not that scary. That's like the least dangerous thing you're going to encounter if you go into a Mortal Kombat fight.
Yeah, that's fair. This is more of a character you expect to show up in Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
Like that would have been one of those stories.
Like,
Not Mortal Kombat.
yeah, it doesn't feel like Ghostface, like he's like, whoa, I'm gonna get you, and then he just gets like stabbed by Scorpion and pulled over and then lit on fire and then exploded.
Really weird things
and then
happens, yeah.
if I recall, there's that one where Liu Kang takes you into space and messes you and like changes it so that your whole body explodes or something. What, I forget what that. There was like a finishing move that was like, yeah, Liu Kang like transports you into the beginning of time in space and puts you into a black hole. And it's just like, I feel like he's not really up to the same standard, is what I'm saying.
I mean, if he can jump out from behind you and hit you with the knife real fast, maybe that's more powerful. Do other people in Mortal Kombat have weapons? That seems weird because of course there's weapons. There's generally like maybe a throwable or like a chain or something.
Yeah,
I guess it's not like a little knife.
People in Mortal Kombat just have straight up guns.
That seems unsporting.
There's a couple of characters that just have guns that shoot people. People have knives, they've got guns, they've got lasers.
A saw hat.
They've got a hat.
I mean, that feels like something that you're just like sneaking into the fight. I'm wearing it. It's part of my outfit. Haha.
They've got magic. They've got fireballs that they can fire. They can teleport.
It's called Mortal Kombat, right?
They can stop time.
They are all mortals, aren't they? They maybe need a rebrand.
They're robot. Like it's just yeah. In the of all the people in Mortal Kombat, this guy seems like one of the least dangerous people you would encounter.
Seems like one of the more normal ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
in that case,
some of them are based.
Nobody is afraid of a little jump scare in this universe. Have you seen them?
Yeah, some of them are literal gods.
Again, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
The mortals combating. Rebrand your game.
Yeah, some of them. There's a few that are like. There's one person who is, like the god of time.
Okay, that's just unfair. It's unfair for so many reasons.
Yeah. Speaking of jump scare, I mean, one of Scorpion's iconic abilities is literally he teleports behind you.
Well, then he should definitely take up some. He should definitely protest.
Yeah.
I guess he'll do that by ripping the mask off, the head off. Mortal Kombat's
Look.
too much in my eyes. It's just too much.
Just too much.
You all have fun. I'm gonna not.
Boop, boop, boop,
I'll go fight something that's not so gross. Oh no! What happened to Stardew Valley? Why are you bringing this up?
Have you gotten 100% completion in Stardew Valley?
So I made several layouts in my Bujo several years ago to try to do that, and I think I got about like 80%, and then there was an update, and I gave up.
Have you gotten all the achievements in Stardew Valley?
No.
100% achievements. Concerned Ape, the developer of Stardew Valley, just recently 100%ed it. Because so there's apparently some challenges. Fector's challenge, which requires the players to beat the Journey of the Prairie King minigame.
Yep, I did that.
Without dying.
Don't think I did that.
No. Apparently 1.2% of players have actually achieved it.
Now I have to do that.
And,
that means I have to play it on Steam, though.
And so the only person, and so this up until recently, not even Concerned Ape, the developer of Stardew Valley, had that achievement. But hey, he just got it, and he. So
all I want to do now is just open up Stardew Valley and only try to do that.
He also posted up some tips.
Oh.
Saying you need money, so don't use the nukes because the enemies don't drop anything from that. Purchase the best items you can afford in this order: ammo, revolver, boots. Save machine gun power-ups for fighting Fector. You can take him down even before he has a chance to attack you. Anyway, I just
I found I vastly improved in the game once I realized that I could hit things diagonally.
Ooh. So this is like a mini game inside Stardew Valley.
Yeah, it's in there's like a little a saloon, and there's a couple of arcade games. And Journey of the Prairie King is one. It's a little shooter thing where things come at you and you have to defeat them before they touch you, essentially. And then you get little power ups and stuff. It's actually a pretty fun.
It's like a little sort of vampire survivory thing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
The other one is like a kart racer game, which I did not find as enjoyable, so I didn't really play it. But if you beat the game, you get an arcade cabinet for your house.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now you said that you have Nintendo Switch Online with the expansion pass.
Yes.
So you can play Nintendo 64 games.
Sometimes, yeah, I like to boot them up and play them for about 10 minutes and then go do something else.
And be like, all right.
I like a little nostalgia boost every now and then. No, I haven't downloaded that because I ain't doing that.
Have you so you haven't downloaded the Nintendo 64 mature pack?
No, because nothing's
app?
on it that I have any interest in. Which was
if
two
you-
games
if you don't-
earlier,
yeah.
and now it looks like two more.
Yeah, if you didn't know, so there's when you get the expansion pack or on Switch, you can download an app that is the like Nintendo 64 emulator that has all the Nintendo 64 games in it. You can also download a separate app, which is the Nintendo 64 mature game emulator.
So stuff that's rated 17 and up,
Yeah,
which
which is
they
which
just
is for all
launched like
the
a couple months ago.
that's for the N64 After Dark games.
Yeah, because wasn't it like Conker's Bad Fur Day?
The two so
I don't remember what the two available were.
the two games that were so the joke is that they had this whole thing for two games, which were Perfect Dark and the original Turok game. Apparently, were the
Oh,
two.
right. No, sorry, Conker's Bad Fur Day was the only one I could think of that was in that age rating. They didn't actually do that one, no.
And then, so now they have released two more games, Shadow Man and Turok 2, Seeds of Evil.
Yeah, I've never heard of Shadow Man.
I've heard of Shadow Man. I've actually heard it's actually very well regarded
Oh, okay.
for N64. So now there's 4 games.
Two of them are Turok.
And 2 of them are Turok. It's this idea of like, mature games, which are like, it's actually just like, and not only are they're like rated mature for like violence, probably. We're talking N64, so like it can't physically be that graphic violence. Like,
I mean, not now. In the day,
yeah.
it was probably something.
But like nowadays, it's like seeing a mature rated Nintendo game or Commodore 64 game. It's like, oh no, the pixels are red, the giant squares are red rather than other colors. Like it's hard for it to be too shocking.
I think that new detective game got an M rating, didn't it? The Detective Club, like Bang on My Face Man,
Oh right,
I believe got a
yeah.
higher rating. It's a visual novel, so I don't know how scary it really is because I haven't played it.
So anyway, because there's a lot of these games, were rated M or whatever for either for violence or there'll be like mature themes, like people will be smoking and stuff in it, or now gambling, depictions of gambling. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean that in that time frame in these games is probably mostly for violence.
Yeah. So yeah, Turok, by the way, that's the Turok Dinosaur Hunter,
Yeah, you go around and punch dinosaurs.
which again I believe is quite well regarded.
I remember people talking about it. Like these weren't games I've played, and they're not games I've ever had like a huge interest in checking out.
I mean, along with
but
like Golden,
Turok was one that I'd heard of. GoldenEye.
along with GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, it was like one of the big first-person N64 games.
Perfect Dark was something I got. I heard people talk about later, when they kind of reminisced about that time period where they're like, "Oh, GoldenEye, but really Perfect Dark," that kind of thing.
The funny thing about
Yeah.
Perfect Dark is, if you tried to play it now on a real N64, it's essentially unplayable. It ran at like 10 frames a second. On an emulator, it's apparently quite good, but like the tolerance people had at that point for like frame rate of the game was very different.
Yeah,
It was not the N64 hardware was not up
look,
to
if you just stick with
handling
the
Perfect
Nintendo
Dark.
console all the way, you'll never have that problem where you're like, "Oh man, all my frames have to be 60."
But it's like, I mean, it's like that thing, you know, I think we've talked about it before, but like I remember as a kid playing, that we always used to play GoldenEye on like turbo mode. And you see that now when it's like, again, the frame rate is so like, it's like, how did we play this? It's like you're moving like a foot down the corridor every frame.
Yep.
How do you even aim at anything? But it's amazing what you can get used to.
Oh yeah, that's the problem. Technology got better.
It's an update, sort of, a continuation to a previous story. You know, we talked about, you know, there was a couple weeks ago, there was some, you know, there's stuff about talking about vice presidential candidate Tim Walz apparently was super into Crazy Taxi
Yep. On the Dreamcast.
on the Dreamcast.
So
To
the
the-
only other person out there with a Dreamcast.
To the extent that it had to be taken away from him.
Now a less of a person with a Dreamcast. One less person with a Dreamcast.
And and so, you know, this was pretty funny. And, you know, people did stories, we did a story about it. I would hope you would, regardless of your political affiliation, is funny. But just recently, Tim Walz and AOC, Alexandria Cortez, or I forget what her whole name is, but anyway, because she has she's a congresswoman who she has been doing some like Twitch streaming, and this idea of like Twitch streaming, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the idea of this thing of like Twitch streaming, playing a game, but also sort of talking about political issues,
Doing the thing that we do, except that.
and you know, answering questions from chat and sort of making
Being a streamer.
It's almost like the modern day version of like the sort of fireside chat or whatever. Like they talk about, like it used to be like a way of sort of talking, getting in touch with the youth, the regular people. And you know, she's played like Among Us and a few other games.
And
and
she's
stuff.
been pretty well known for that over the last few years, especially during lockdown and whatnot.
And so she and Tim Walz did a thing where they played a bunch of games. They played some Among Us. They played some Stardew Valley. They played a few other games. And then they played some Crazy Taxi. And I think hopefully this will play at the right.
Expand healthcare and we lose because of that. That's not a bad career. I'll just go home and teach school again. And I think this idea, I watch you talk about these things, but I'm really impressed. The ability to say,
yeah,
look,
there we go.
how do we compromise? Had happened to me.
forward to
There's
yeah.
a character of me in there. At
Are
some
you
point.
here you go.
serious?
Yeah,
He's
I'm not-
talking
I'm
about
terrible.
the
I
Oh,
don't
right,
know
the
controls
mod,
on
right?
The mod, yeah.
Yeah,
Xbox,
yeah, yeah.
But I just wanted to try it once with you.
Oh my gosh.
I got to go pick these people up.
So he's not only
Get in,
playing
dude.
the
Here we
game,
go. And then you,
but he's
you got to
explaining
drive them
how
to
he's
their
playing it.
destination.
To the cable
Out of the
car
way, man.
stop. Oh my
I see.
gosh.
Okay.
This is like
Is
New
this
York
how you drive in
taxi.
real life?
Or is that a smart ass? Is that a smart ass comment about New York? Oh no! There we go. Yeah, see, sweet.
Dude,
Okay, hold
you're
on.
good.
I'm not bad. I'm not bad.
Now he hasn't necessarily played
Oh
it for a
my
while.
god.
Wait. Oh,
Wait,
dude.
you're like
he overran.
actually.
He
If
hasn't
we're going to talk at the same
yeah.
time as other people, it's a lot easier when they're not talking.
So he hasn't necessarily like played it for a while. So I don't know, how well he does playing it, but I love that, the idea of sort of embracing this meme of him being getting into really playing this game, and the idea that playing video games and enjoying them as a leisure activity is not something that has to be sort of that it's like shameful or something, right? Which it used to be, or like it used to always be. We always talk about when there's news reports about like Desert Bus or other video game related things. There would be always the thing where it like cuts back to the two anchors and they go like, "Whoa, I'd never played anything since Pac-Man or Tetris or something." Like they'd always like cite some,
Yeah.
some like super old arcade game, right?
I mean, I suppose it's been quite a long time too since we've had the days of, oh no, video games are being talked about in the news or by a politician. Therefore, time to talk about the evil thing that they do. And now it's like, no, we too play the games. They are no longer of the devil.
Yeah, exactly. This idea that like, I mean, I remember going to a panel. I think it was at PAX actually. Going to a panel talking about the current state of research into correlation between video games and violence, or the idea of video games sort of affecting people's thing, and they're talking about the people doing the getting into doing the school shootings and doing all this stuff. They were playing video games, and it's like, and the person doing the presentation was like, yeah, 95% of people play video games. Yeah. Of course they were playing video games.
Yeah, there's like you can still find it sometimes on YouTube. There's like a old like news report where Animal Crossing came out for the first time in North America, I think, and they have people talking about how this game came out and how you can interact with people on the internet, and you can tell that the people who are talking about it don't know. They've kind of been like shoved this game to talk about. They clearly have had no time to research it or anything, and the game's just starting, and the dude's just like, oh yeah, you see that old man turtle there, that person's talking to could totally be a stranger on the internet, and it's terrible that Nintendo's allowing people to talk to strangers on the internet. And it's like, that's an NPC. But also, can you imagine Nintendo letting people to talk to strangers on the internet? Even now, that's pretty hard to do.
Because in putting that on Nintendo in particular, the people who are
during the GameCube era
have been like so resistant to letting people. It's like, do you have 3 different friend codes?
Oh, even then, pretty sure you had to like go to someone's house, something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, so the idea that we're now at the point where not only is it sort of not shameful, but we have a congressperson and a vice presidential candidate streaming and talking about how cool Crazy Taxi was. That's cool. I love that.
Well, some of you do. We're up in Canada. It ain't ours.
That's true. It's not our vice presidential candidate. Anyway,
What else we got?
Hey, there's a new mount that you can get in World of Warcraft.
Oh, yeah.
Which
yeah.
isn't really that much news because they do mounts and stuff all the time.
Yeah, but this one's got to be like super cool, right?
Yeah, this guy's called the Reigns of the Traders Gilded Brontosaur.
Okay.
Okay. You buy the reins of you buy the reins of the Traders Gilded Brontosaur, and that allows you to summon the Traders Gilded Brontosaur.
Oh, okay.
Which is
so I
like
get a dinosaur.
yeah, so it's a Brontosaur, and it's got like all these it's got apparently like gems on it that each gem represents a WoW expansion because this is the 20th anniversary
Oh, okay. So fancy
of
dinosaur.
World of Warcraft.
Oh,
It's a
goodness.
fancy
How
dinosaur.
expensive is a fancy dinosaur? It's like $20. $20 is a lot of money for an in-purchase mount, isn't it? I don't really know, not having played.
How
much is it?
Cheaper than you were previously able to get a Brontosaurus.
That's not helpful. And you just dropped the other shoe already.
$90.
Okay, if it was a real dinosaur, $90, easy spent. This in-store thing, I don't know.
So this particular this Brontosaurus, but with different with a different sort of harness and stuff, was previously available like a long time ago. And you could get it, and you would get it for as Rex Explosion says, for about 5 million gold.
Which is how much in real money?
Depending on how you get it,
Oh no!
about $400.
How many people do I have to kill? How many people is that?
You could apparently, at least the thing I was looking at was saying that you could maybe get 5 million gold for about $400 using in-game stuff. Or you can like grind it out for like 2 years. And also this Brontosaurus that was previously, so it was available for a while for 5 million gold. And then it went away. Like it was no longer available.
Was it extinct?
Yeah, it went extinct. It was no longer available, but then it would show up, like it would be occasionally available as
quite,
like a special thing in the store, but it was so uncommonly available that like, so people would like get their 5 million gold and then they'd like
Camp out for it.
and then they like can't, yeah. And like people would get like a character with 5 million gold on like multiple servers. So they could like jump between server and like jump between characters
okay.
and be like camping multiple places. And then also because it was so hard to get, it ended up being like a lot more than 5 million gold because you would have to like, because people were like reselling them and stuff. Anyway, so in comparison to that, this one that you can just buy like for straight $90 is a comparative bargain.
I mean, comparatively, I still think that's a bit, but if you've been working hard, I kind of get it.
Apparently, the big thing why this guy is so valuable, other than just the general scarcity, is that this is one of these mounts where it actually has some sort of it sort of has this like functionality to it. So the mount, because it's this trader whatever mount, the mount itself acts as a auctioneer and a mailbox. So like basically anywhere so you can just be like, rather than going to town to go to the auctioneer.
That's like just having a house with you.
Yeah, rather than
just
like going to town to do the auctioneer, you can just have this mount with you. And then so you can basically like, the idea is that apparently you can use them, so you can basically like set up the auctioneer right beside whatever the thing is that you're trying to grind out and then sell. So
Can I tell you a bad joke?
you can always do that.
Yeah, okay. So dragons don't explode.
Dragons don't explode?
Dragons don't explode.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, well, a dynamite.
All right. That's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Solid.
Yeah.
I was like, I accept your premise that dragons don't explode.
You have to, otherwise the joke doesn't work. I was trying to figure out for the last 5 minutes how to just do that subtly, and then I gave up. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna ask. Paul will say yes.
So anyway, yeah, I don't know. You don't need to buy that. I think obviously, some people who have spent like the last couple of years building up the gold, and then they spend all the effort to like buy the other version of this mount, like a month ago, are probably a little annoyed.
That's okay though.
But
It's a better world to live in.
The world with more brontosaurs.
Forgiving student debt.
Is that what this is?
It's the same thing. A bunch of people are really mad that student could get forgiven because they had to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's a better world we live in.
We can't. I cannot condone this new policy of giving brontosauruses to
Everyone, brontosaurus.
to everyone with student debt.
Oh, if you've had student debt, you should definitely get a free brontosaurus.
Yeah, I paid for my brontosaurus. Why are all these students just getting free brontosaurus?
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Brontosauri? I don't know. Brontosauruses? I don't know what the plural of brontosaurus is.
Brontes. Bronto brothers. Bront buddies.
Bront buddies.
Bront buddies. That sounds cute. Sort of. It's not the first part. The second part. Buddies always sound cute.
Yeah. I believe they are people are generally have been calling them called tall boys.
Tall boys? Tall boys is a pretty decent name. I'll accept this.
Something like that.
Long boys? Long boys is also
Long boys.
good.
That's it. Long boys. Not tall boys. Long boys. Brontosaurus, yes. And finally.
Finally.
You know how people were annoyed that for the PS5 Pro came out, and people were annoyed that it didn't come with a stand to put it on?
I mean, they should include a stand.
That's a fair thing to be annoyed about.
It's like $40 for it or something.
Yeah.
It's still, yeah.
So the other thing that people have found out now that the PS5 Pros have actually been delivered to people is that it's got the PS5 Pro has the same thing as like the other versions where it's got the side plates can be replaced.
Yes.
So the side plates can be replaced.
I did see this.
And what's cool is that even though it's a different shape, like horizontally, it's narrower and stuff, the side plates are actually the same size as the PS4 or PS5 Slim. However, I guess it actually is the top and bottom plate. It's the side plates if it's standing up. It's the top and bottom plate if it's down.
The bread of the PS5 sandwich, the plates.
Yes, the bread of the sandwich.
You know what we're talking about.
The bread of the sandwich.
Mine's standing. Why do you have yours on your side? How much desk real estate do you have? Never mind. I don't want to know.
So anyway, the plates are the same size. Unfortunately, It turns out that the way that the plates connect to the PlayStation 5 Pro, the connector things are in a different spot
Yep.
on the PlayStation Pro than on the PlayStation.
Which is such a waste.
There's and Sony says that don't worry, they're going to be releasing a whole new line of of like side
But-
panel pieces
But that's
for the PS5 Pro, which
you
is
just
so you can just buy them
could've-
again. That's almost
could've-
as good as using the ones you have.
but you could have made them
No.
fine, and then you don't have two different plastic things that people are definitely going to buy the wrong ones.
Yes, they are.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, maybe benefit of the doubt is that there's a technical reason why they had to put the mountings in a different spot.
Yeah, they didn't try hard enough.
I guess that is not the case.
Probably not. I don't know. I just it's a piece of plastic.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't like a deliberate let's screw it. It was just like not even thinking about the idea that they could use the same. But anyway,
And your PS5 Pro sandwich slides pieces are getting expensive.
yeah, your PS5 Pro bread is quite expensive. Your PS5 Pro is incompatible with PS5 bread.
I guess because the sides come off. There's really no need to buy plates. Paint is much like a cheap option.
Wait, you can't have a sandwich with no bread?
No, I'm saying you're going to paint the plates and then put them back on.
Oh, I see. I was
If
like,
you can take them off in order to swap them out. You just paint them
It's true.
with all of your very precious mini paints that all of you have. I've decided you all paint minis.
Can't just have, peanut butter and jam like in your hand.
Well, not
got-
with that attitude.
You gotta have the bread is important.
The bread is very important.
But you gotta
Helps
make
make
sure
it
that you've
tasty.
got bread that's compatible with your fillings, is what we're saying.
You do. Like, honestly, a PB&J sandwich requires, it's better on just like kind of some plain white bread than say like sourdough.
Okay. That's
Sourdough is for grilled cheeses.
all right. I see you have strong opinions about
About the food I put in my mouth? Yes.
about different uses for bread.
Oh, different uses for bread. There's other uses than, bread is useful for other things than just eating. It's really absorbent, so you can use bread like a sponge.
Do you?
I don't recommend eating it if depending on how you sponge the bread usage. It's also not great for cleaning dishes in the sink. It will disintegrate. I've tried. I haven't. That's a lie. It just sounded better that I said I had.
Do you often have like multiple loaves of bread on the go so that like you have like a loaf of white and a loaf of rye or a loaf of multigrain or whatever?
No, we don't
so that
really
you can
buy
make
a lot
two
of
different
bread,
types of sandwiches?
So doing that would be like most of that bread would just go bad.
That's fair.
Typically, I go out and just buy a sandwich somewhere. So I get the fillings with the bread.
Right. Pre-filled bread.
Yeah, pre-filled bread.
Anyway. So yeah, I think that's the last story that I wanted to talk about.
Bread's also really squishy, so like if you're like trying to package something and you just like it just rattles around just a little bit more, you just stick bread in there to really soften it.
Like just as like packing peanuts,
Yeah.
like the equivalent of.
Don't do that for mail time. It takes us a while to open our mail.
No, don't do that.
Please don't do that for mail.
Please do not send us like.
Please don't do any of the things I tell you to do.
Yeah.
No, wait. I just told you to do. Don't do the things that are clearly not the things you should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, don't send us like. Don't send
They're all
us
smart.
Like unwrapped food, please.
Or food.
Um,
Shelf stable food. I
yeah.
guess. I don't know. Label the package with food so we know she open it.
But yeah, I did enjoy the YouTube comments. Lots of people had, I would say, strong opinions about the
Bread? Because I don't remember that.
no, not about bread, but yeah, strong opinions about the Nintendo music thing and like all the different other stuff, and apparently that title is indeed still around. So I guess we checked on that. There's
title?
There's Tidal as a music streaming
Tidal.
service. Yeah.
Right.
They're
Yes.
still they're still around.
I actually not heard of them. I'm much more familiar with like Bandcamp and like most of the other ones that got mentioned.
Yeah, and yeah, actually, people were reiterating what Kathleen said about yes, Bandcamp is sort of if you can, Bandcamp seems to be the better way to
Currently, yeah, I know we were
support artists.
We were worried about Bandcamp because didn't they get bought by Epic?
Yeah,
Yeah, and nothing bad has happened yet.
I think they got bought by
Or
Epic
did they get
and then sold to somebody else. I don't know.
Right. There's always like that question of, oh, there being a thing is being bought, a thing is being sold. Does the bad thing happen now because it was fine, and then? But we haven't heard anything terrible. It just seems like it's the same still.
Yeah.
So
although, yeah, there is concern. I think that it isn't sort of. Yeah, still, it is still whether it will or can continue in its current state, I believe, is somewhat up in the air. But for the moment, anyway,
it still seems fine currently.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. In particular, actually, and Kathleen and Graham mentioned this, but I did want to also shout out to Cameron and Nelson again, who
right, yes.
who both wrote the
Oregon Trail story. So
Oregon Trail story.
Cameron's story is the one that was read during the episode. In the after chat, Graham does do a bit of a read through of Nelson's.
Yeah. There's a slight miscommunication in claiming stories, but they were both.
It's very rare
great.
that we get that. Yeah, usually we everybody claims what story that they're writing or that they're going to work on, so that we don't have overlap. But I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's cool to get sort of slightly different takes on it, and they both did a great job. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining us.
Yeah.
On stream.
Reminder that we won't be around for a couple weeks because of Desert Bus, so we'll see you.
So both
eventually after that.
Both Check and ChillPoint will be around for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we'll see you later in November. But do go to patreon.com/loadingreadyrun if you'd like to support us. There's also store.loadingreadyrun.com, which will be very important because that's where also the Desert Bus stuff, a lot of it gets sold from. So you could, grab some of your Loading Ready Run stuff at the same time if you want.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Try to pack in that shipping.
So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we will talk to all y'all later. Bye.